Hello, YouTube. This is a gentleman scholar coming to you from Manchester, New Hampshire. I really like this pipe. Yeah, I know. I can't light matches either. Housekeeping. Norman Rockwell sent a surprise. All the Norman Rockwell blends never seem to let me down when it comes to lighting and puffing them, so I kind of drift towards them, and they taste pretty well too. I'm a simple man. I'm in hibernation mode. I've been pretty much indoors for the entire week except to get my comics and whatnot. I had to go to a funeral a week ago today. It wasn't pleasant. But I've pretty much been catching up on reading, trying to lean away from the social media a little bit, so I put my phone over there so I can't reach it and grab it when I'm, bored. And then, of course, once you start flipping on social media, you get sucked in. Just like the Matrix. So I'm trying to lean away from that just a little bit. And yeah, I feel a lot calmer because of it, because you're not like, you put something out there, you're not afraid someone's gonna, gainsay you. Well, not just gainsay you, but you just come up with some snarky, not even a argumentative point, but just like some snarky whatever. And I don't feel like it. I mean, I'd rather read. And speaking of reading, I've had a stack of these had to catch up with. Back Issue Magazine from Tomorrow's Publishing. And they are pretty much devoted to comics and retro material, but it all started with Alter Ego, founded by Roy Thomas, legendary comic writer. Learned at the feet of Stan Lee himself. Big thing for World War II heroes in the Golden Age. And that's one thing I should square away right now. The comics history is divided into ages, okay? From the first Superman comic up until, say, the early, don't quote me on this, up until, say, like, the mid-50s is the Golden Age. 30s, 40s, early 50s, that's the Golden Age. The Silver Age, let me puff on this a minute. For the lads. We've got the Golden Age. We have the Silver Age, when superheroes found a resurgence, when new versions of heroes were put out. We had a new streamlined modern version of the Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, the Atom, that kind of thing, and that kind of ushered in a new age of superheroes. The Silver Age, that's when the Justice League. That's when the Justice League got introduced. That's when Marvel came into its own with the Fantastic Four. That flowering of superhero creativity. Silver Age. There won't be a quiz later. Son of a bitch. Alright, go to the lighter now. After that comes the era when I entered the continuity, and that's the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age is the late 60s up until the early 80s. And that's when I discovered comics. My mother bought me a Wonder Woman Super Spectacular. It had the main story, and it also had a bunch of reprints on it. And it captured my eyes. Oh my God, she's got an invisible plane. Look at her, she can glide on air currents. Look at the color, look at the superpowers. That was amazing. It just blew the doors off my imagination, and I was smitten for life. Hold that thought. Our four ages. Well, so far. Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age. That's when I came into the continuity. And after that comes, I don't know, they call it the modern age, they call it the dark age. From the early 80s up until now, I guess, that's still, that lava still hasn't cooled yet. But I remember being right at ground zero with the Dark Age, with, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, when DC wiped out all their multiverse to give you one Earth. Watchmen, The Dark Knight Returns, Alan Moore on Swamp Thing. All those. Changed the way we read. The Vertical imprint from DC Comics. The growth and populated the independent comic store, which gave you lots of other publishers to choose from other than the big two, Marvel and DC. Anyway. Back issue covers the Bronze Age. And what it does, they usually pick a theme issue, and of course this one is, you couldn't get plainer than this. They're not ready for primetime Marvel heroes. And you have Jack of Hearts, you have the Stingray, you have Doc Samson, and you also have Union Jack. It tells you what creative teams were working on the books at the time, the storylines that were happening in those books at the time, and where to get those storylines if they're collected in some graphic novel or hardcover omnibus. And since I like things British, I would like to read more about Union Jack. Eventually. Like I don't have enough to read. But anyway, that's what I've been doing with myself in inside when I'm in hibernation mode. I've also been writing a lot of letters. The funeral I went to last week had to should have been a closer family member than he was. But I was just I've been working my way through that, just writing some friends I know letters, just getting that straight in my head. It acts as a sort of a journal writing. And I keep a journal as well. So I wrote that in my journal. But just put it this way, I paid homage to him by, he kept talking about Old Yeller throughout. He's my brother. He's my brother from a previous marriage. And he was an original Disney kid, an original baby boomer child. And he really was a first-generation Disney kid. And we really loved Old Yeller. Hold on. And in his honor, I watched Old Yeller. I have Disney Plus, so I dialed it up. And it was made in 1957, I believe. And yeah, it was everything a 50s kid would love. Fess Parker, I think before or during his Daniel Boone role, I'm not sure. But minimal adults in it. A boy and his dog. A dog that came to a sad end later on. Spoilers. It's everything a 50s kid would love. So I watched that in his honor. We weren't terribly close. But he made a difference. And he was basically a good guy. And so that's how I honored him. And so now just basically death always leaves a hole, no matter how close you were to the person or not. Funny thing is, now that I'm talking about him, his father, my mom's first husband, was a pipe smoker. Lou. You can always smell the aroma of pipe smoke in the house. I don't know what it was. It could have been Borkum Riff. It could have been half and half. I'm not even sure. But I think he used it. He was using it to quit smoking because everyone smoked in the 40s. Most people did, and of course. Maybe he just switched to pipes to save money. Who knows? But that was the first time I ever saw anyone smoking a pipe, and I don't recall him making a great impression on me, but I do remember liking the smell, and he seemed like a solid sort of gent. So maybe that did play a part. I don't know. But anyway, so that's how that's related to the first pipe smoker I ever had in my life or saw in my life. But what else is happening? Not a whole ton. Just got hit with a fairly major snowstorm. Luckily, I'm not flying for it. Next time I fly is on Thursday, unless that trip drops. Got another storm coming up after this. I live in a condo, so there's not a whole lot of shoveling to do except the back deck, and I also have to keep the firewood supply going. So yeah, I mean, just because I'm in hibernation doesn't mean that there's no work to be done. Also trying to get back into regular exercising. I'm the most inconsistent person. Back in the day I used to run, but then my hips and knees started bothering me, so I just kept to walking and stomach exercises. And of course, you look outside, you don't want to walk, so you have to keep the stomach exercises and push-ups. And when it comes to exercises, a little goes a long way, and I don't like the gelatinous hobbit gut I'm getting, so I have to like really work on that. But it just sucks because, once you start getting successful, you start getting lazy. Oh, that's enough. And then you continue drinking the wine and drinking the beer and back out again. You have to keep that furnace going. Doesn't want to stay lit. Anyway, folks, I just wanted to say hello. How you doing? I treasure the YTPC greatly. Old man things. Old man things is another. Oh, of course, armchair Piper. Ed. Of course, now I had them all ready in my head before I started rolling, but now I'm like, so all of you folks, I'm just glad you're here, and you keep me coming back. Take care, folks. Cheers.